Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. After all the drama and the questions of the last several weeks, we finally got the answer to our question last night. Who's the best team in the Americas? Turns out the answer is Sentinels. After a mega best of 5 against Loud, they secure the revenge match victory after what happened in the groups earlier on in the tournament. Tenzin going well to get this one over the line, and arguably Sentinels will go into Masters Madrid as the favourites to win the entire thing. Remarkable turnaround from this team and this organisation. Massively intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate. Plenty to get into today. Firstly, I thought this is kind of crazy, by the way. So, Chinese region is obviously growing massively indeed. And if you look at the 8 teams that are at Masters Madrid, there are so many storylines here. They have so many of the clouded teams. Like, Heretics are like a home organization to some extent because, of course, it's in Madrid. KC, one of the biggest fan bases in the entirety of global esports. Sentinels are there. Loud are there, the massive Brazilian side. Paper Rex are there from the, of course, from the Pacific side. And even Gen.G as well. Maybe Gen.G is the one that you say, oh, you know, okay, maybe another organization, but still, Gen.G, a big organization with lots of storylines around them. And then from China, you've got obviously FPX and Edward Gaming that just bring massive support from that region, right? To such an extent that we've got billboard ads for Kang's birthday here. So, man, that tournament is going to be insane, and it's coming up not far away. Of course, most teams, though, by a long way, didn't qualify for the tournament. Bleed Esports being one of them. So yesterday we talked about rumours that potentially roster changes are going to be happening and what those roster changes might end up being. The belief is that Crazy Guy's going to be gone. Crazy Guy gone and somebody else in. The name that's being thrown around here is Zest. So he departed his team the other day, and it was reported yesterday morning that they are in advanced negotiations with Zest to join their team, which would be a really interesting kind of a pickup for those guys. Of course, formerly of DRX very recently indeed, and DRX after making those changes, Zest gone, RB gone. Have they improved? Not on the evidence that we saw this tournament, right? I mean, they go down to Gen.G, and sure, to be fair, they look pretty good, and then they lost to Gen.G, who won the entire thing. And there are some caveats, I would say, to this whole situation, just because, as we'll see in a second, the play-in winners in all of the regions went on to win the entire tournament. So there is a big argument as to some degree of format advantage for Gen.G, for example, because they had played so many games, whereas DRX hadn't played any. But regardless, DRX and Fnatic, both of those teams, not going to be at Masters Madrid. Maybe a bit of a changing of the guard. And obviously Zest has qualified with those guys for a very long time. So now the fact that he's available could be very interesting. I will say this changes somewhat, well, they're going to have to think about this because Bleed are obviously going to stick by Ye. They really should, I think, be doing what makes him comfortable. But also there is an argument that looking at a team like Sentinels and what Tens is currently doing, Ye needs to be more versatile, needs to be able to run more agents more effectively. But at the end of the day, if you're paying Ye the big bucks, probably just put him where he's most comfortable and let your in-game leader allow that to be the case. And I'm guessing that Zest is going to come in here and lead this team in English as well. So there's a few changes if this occurs. Feel bad for Crazy Guy just because of the situation, right? He's obviously led these guys through Ascension to qualify through. Now he's getting dropped after a couple of poor series. But I think it was quite clear that something needed to change on Bleed. And one of the biggest changes you can make is to change out the in-game leader, which is seemingly exactly what they are going to do. So no confirmation as of recording, we'll see over time. We also, however, get this though from Jake, who pretty much confirms, I would say, with this GIF right here, that he's probably gone from the team. We've heard rumours that Cloud9 are making changes, and Jake seems to imply that it might be him on the way out. Is a one-man move enough for Cloud9? Do they need more moves? Are they just going to keep, you know, Vanity, Zeppa, Oxy, and then change around Whippy and Jake? Maybe. Are there options out there? Absolutely there are. We know full well that in Tier 2 in the Americas, it is stacked full of talents. Like what we've seen with guys like Narrate and even Governor and Bandu in the other regions they've gone to is really impressive. And there's guys like, you know, Verno and Scoob and some of the top guys even on Oxygen and elsewhere that are just so good. And obviously the M80 guys as well deserve lots of credit. That, you know, if I'm a franchise team, I'm absolutely looking to pick some of those guys up into my roster before other teams get the chance to do so. But obviously if you are Oxygen Esports or whatever, do you want your best players to get poached just as you've got a decent chance to qualify through Ascension? Obviously not. So there's some negotiations I'm told to be done, and I don't know who Cloud9 are looking at, but they're looking at someone, I'm sure, because their team obviously isn't good enough right now. And looking at how stacked the Americas is, I think you've just got to up the talent. Qualifying for these international tournaments is tough. Cloud9 on paper, they didn't have the most talent, but maybe they can bring the teamwork. And they've got Oxy, who's a very talented player, absolutely. But just looking at the way this tournament has concluded, you need the teamwork and you most certainly need the firepower, especially in the Americas. It's tough enough to qualify for these international events in any region. The Americas, I think, is just so stacked that it's so difficult. And watching the level of VALORANT played last night by Sen and Cloud9, and by Loud, sorry, definitely not by Cloud9, was, indicative of exactly that. Before we get to the series, I thought this is interesting, though, from Kaplan, of course, coach of Sentinels, on the format. Now, it was kind of funny reading this because he says, seen a lot of public critique towards the early season format, but, so I thought what he was going to say is, oh, well, they're getting a lot of criticism here, but actually, it's pretty good in some ways. But no, what he's actually saying is even worse than you might have imagined, because his point is, and I think a very valid point, that if you win playoffs, you get 3 points towards, or if you win the kickoff, right, by winning the playoffs last night, you get 3 points towards champs qualification, which is a pretty big deal, right? 3 points for champs qualification and 3 points for winning Madrid. But if you were to get seconds in both of the grand finals, you get 0 points. And I don't really understand why they've come up with this idea. And a lot of the points that are given out for championship qualification are given out towards the end of the year, like events like Shanghai and stuff like this at Masters, which means if you don't qualify for Masters, you don't get the opportunity to get some of those points for champs qualification. I think it's a bit of a mess, really. And as Kaplan rightly says, you could get 0-2 slammed in your kickoff, get 0 points to qualify for championships or for the World Championship, but you could get seconds at your kickoff and at Madrid, and you could still get 0 points. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me, really. So, yeah, obviously Kaplan says, hype to be making Madrid, but time to get these 3 points. But I just feel like it doesn't really make any sense, the current format, right? They could give 1 point, right, for second place. They could give 2 points for second place or something. I know they want to make it so that the match last night mattered, which it did, which was good compared to last year. But arguably, the second place team should get something. Certainly for Madrid, there really should be more discrepancy there. So, of course, Gen.G lost to Sentinels to get into a situation where Sentinels were into the grand finals of the Americas kickoffs to play Loud. A rematch for sure of what we saw earlier on in the stage when we had Loud beat Sentinels 2-0 right at the start. And at the time, it was like, oh man, Sentinels, like, these guys, maybe they're not as good as we maybe thought they were, and have they fallen off somewhat and everything going on like that, but absolutely not the case. So, Sen come against Loud last night, and it was a mega series, went all the way to game 5. The vetoes look like this, by the way. So Sentinels did decide to get rid of Ascent, which is acceptable and understandable from their perspective. Yes, EG taught maybe Loud a bit of a lesson on the Ascent, but Sentinels felt like that wasn't the fight they wanted to take. So they end up going elsewhere, and after an epic 5-map series here, Sentinels get the job done. Loud were looking like the best team in the Americas coming into this one, but Sentinels say, no, that is us, right? So the Sunset Sentinels won. They also won the split as well. They dominated the split 13-3. It's actually absurd how good they are at this map right now. They crushed Gen.G on it, and they crushed Loud on it as well. Sadak had 3 kills here. I will also say there were some questions raised on the compositions brought to the table here by Sadak, because we know that Sadak is not the biggest fan of Sentinel kind of characters. He doesn't think they're as valuable as they, some other characters are. He prefers flashes, he prefers some other things, and it's not like they don't use Sentinel characters, but they don't use them as much as potentially they could. And I think that other teams that know this, like Sentinels, can find the ways to exploit it, to send on flanks that they're not going to get the info on that they otherwise would if they had certain agents here. And I think it's going to be interesting to see if Loud and Sen match up again, whether we see Sadak try and correct for that, or whether that's just going to be a strategy they're going to run with, because certainly on the Lotus, I think that was a key talking point. But again, Loud, they began the fake reverse sweep. It's funny that they keep making these international finals, and yet they keep going down 2-0, bringing it back to 2-2, and then getting beaten on the final map. Right, they've done it before. They might do it again. I don't know. But Louder here again, and on the Lotus, again, look at the respective compositions. Actually, again, they bring the Phoenix to the party here, but it wasn't the play this time around, and Sentinels just crushed them on the Lotus 13-4, and they take the series. Okay, they lost a couple of maps in there, the Icebox and the Bind, but the maps that Sentinels won were emphatic. It wasn't crazy overtimes, nothing like that. It was just clean VALORANT.
They have QCK just lurking, waiting, but nobody from Sentinels is stepping into the danger zone right now.
Yo, this kills everything. Oh my god.
Loud just with their regular stop and go under the pressure.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
does these plays.
Reach out, mod check. Oh, use it? No, I didn't.
At least to get the plant down.
5v3, Rolling Thunder, prepped and ready from the tree position. They're going to actually try to rotate a little bit around.
Fuck it, I'll say it. GG, it's over. Sentinels win. I don't give a fuck anymore.
A few of these seconds being wasted.
He says it at 12-4 to 5v3.
right now for the Rolling Thunder, and he also has Aftershock holding
Okay.
the tree is the most important
bomb,
position.
smoke bomb,
The Sentinels are looking to fight right back. There's the Aftershock. There's a swing out from Tens, but gets denied. And now the tap on that spike. Tui's dropping one. It's a 2 versus 2. Right inside, trying to stick it. Another one to fall. It's all up to Zek, who does get the kill.
Oh, wow.
Going to be America's kickoff.
God damn. They got the revenge, eh?
Oh yeah, they did. Oh yeah, they did.
Happy for them, for sure.
Holy fuck.
Well deserved. Well deserved. Okay, do you guys think that NA is sending their best representatives?
And you have completed it
Right now, yes.
victoriously.
I think so too.
Playing just
In terms of
about
pure
the
form,
same
I'm gonna have to
amount of
agree.
games
Now,
they
yeah.
played
They have to be in the best form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
of 2023 here in kickoff.
They literally.
So it really is a wild timeline, right? That Sentinels not only have the clout and the talent, but they also are putting together the victories. Zelsis deserves a lot of credit for this, but I think Gen.G has got to be the main man, really. In terms of the acquisition they made, bringing him in as their in-game leader, and the slaying that he does in the server as well. Like, what a player this guy is, and obviously everyone deserves so much credit on this team. Tens was playing at like a very high level, as was Zekin. That duo is so hard to stop, but yeah, the Gen.G turnaround, and maybe just the Zelsis turnaround, I don't know. Like, where do you even begin giving credit to these guys? But this is their first regional event win in basically 3 years. They, of course, lock in the 3 championship points for the World Championship qualification, which, of course, is very nice as well. And as Ten says, yeah, won 3-2 against Loud. Crazy game. Champions of the kickoffs, right? So, look, it's remarkable how this has come to this point. Obviously, Kaplan's talking about it as well. I'll also say that it seems like their mentality is so good right now for Sentinels. In the same way that KC seem to have a really good mentality as well. You know, talking about how they're already hungry to go into Madrid and win that as well. I feel like their team culture, everything about that Sentinels camp is firing at all cylinders right now, and they're delivering the results to match. I will also say, from a format perspective, it's been quite interesting how this is concluded, because KC, they lost to Team Heretics 2-0 in their group at the start of the event. They went on to beat them in the finals, and both teams qualified. Loud beat Sentinels 2-0 in the groups. They went on to lose 3-2 to them in the finals, and Gen.G Paperix also played in the group. So, interesting for sure that all of the qualification teams started in the same group at the start of the tournament, and the fact that the play-in winner, right, because the number 2 seed in those groups had to go through the play-in, they won it, and then they went on to win the entire event on all occasions. So I don't think the format was necessarily too bad, because I don't really see what else they were meant to do with 11 teams. It's kind of tough. But it did definitely seem to be the case that the teams that had that momentum and had that confidence, they could improve. And Kaplan said it outright that he felt they were a much better team after their loss to Loud, and they were getting better every single series than they were before that loss to Loud at the start of the tournament. And it definitely, you know, the evidence was there. Sentinels have improved dramatically, even over the course of just this tournament. The numbers as well between Tens and Zekin I thought were really impressive, just so similar, and even Com giving some credit as well. Tough for Lev, right? The fact that they didn't make it out of the group, losing to both Sentinels and, of course, Loud. But a highly competitive tournament. There's going to be so much reaction, of course, to this over the coming days in terms of where these guys can actually get to, because the question has been there before and others have said it. EG last year became the best team in the Americas. They became the best team in the world. If Sentinels are the best team in the Americas, there's a very good argument right now they are the team to beat in World Valorant. So very much interested your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.